Apple, without a shadow of a doubt, has been the most successful consumer electronics company in modern times. They were the first company to be valued at $1 trillion back in 2018 and continue their dominance in the tech industry. They are arguably the most recognizable brand in the world. The name Apple itself is more associated with the brand than it is with the fruit. How can one company stay on top for so long? There are many variables that make Apple successful, but one overlooked and often less appreciated variable is their supply chain philosophy and execution. In this video, we're going to see how Apple's supply chain is one of their biggest competitive advantages over their rivals. Let's get started. First and foremost, let's get an overview of how a supply chain works and what it is. In simplest terms, Apple purchases components and materials from various suppliers, then gets them shipped to assembling plants in China. From there, products are shipped directly to consumers through UPS or FedEx. For other distribution channels like retail stores, Apple keeps products at a central warehouse in Elk Grove, California, and ships products from there. At the end of a product's life, consumers can send these products back to the nearest Apple store or to dedicated recycling facilities. For most, the supply chain is an afterthought. For most consumers, once Apple announces a product, it simply takes a short time before it arrives at the store or is delivered to their home. So much goes on behind the scenes to make this experience so seamless. This in large part is due to Apple's excellent supply chain. Today we're going to take a closer look at the particular aspects of Apple's supply chain philosophy and examine Tim Cook's unique perspective on inventory and how that has given Apple such an advantage. Around the world, people know Apple for its amazing designs and innovative technology. What many people aren't aware of is that they're also regulars in the top spot of many industry lists for top supply chain. Considering how fast the tech industry changes, this is a remarkable feat for any company, especially a company in the consumer electronics space. Tim Cook is the current Apple CEO, and before becoming Steve Jobs' successor, he was the Chief Operating Officer, or COO, for 5 years. He rose to CEO in 2011. Tim Cook has been a powerful force behind the creation and implementation of Apple's supply chain strategy and philosophy. One of his core beliefs when it comes to his supply chain philosophy is that inventorying or storing Apple products in warehouses is wasteful, even going so far as calling inventory fundamentally evil. He compares Apple products to dairy products. Inventory is fundamentally evil. You kind of want to imagine it like you're in the dairy business. If it gets past a freshness date, you have a problem. With this analogy, he estimates that all Apple products, whether it be laptops, desktops, smartphones, tablets, iPods, or whatever, all depreciate very quickly when in inventory, losing up to 2% of their value each week. This leads to an interesting concept regarding Apple inventory. How do they manage to produce such high volumes of some products like the iPhone without ever being caught in a situation where they're left holding a warehouse of old, obsolete phones? This is one of their advantages. One of the concepts that separates Apple from everyone else is their best-in-class analysis and implementation of strategic inventory management, which is the process of optimizing the number of each inventory item to hold. Tim Cook states that new items or products basically kill any interest in older models. Their overarching goal is to keep inventory as low as possible. Why? Primarily because of the costs associated with warehouses and their competitors. Consumer electronics manufacturers, like Apple, don't want to keep too many products in stock because a sudden announcement from a competitor or a new feature innovation could change everything and suddenly bring down the value of a product line in their inventory. So how does Apple manage to strike the delicate balance between producing millions of iPhones and other electronics devices while also simultaneously coming out with a new iPhone model every year and still not be stuck with old, obsolete inventory? It's an interesting question, considering the volume and scale of production for everything the company does. When Apple releases a new product, shouldn't that mean that the previous generation will nosedive in value? Well, yes. And if Tim Cook says that Apple products depreciate by 2% each week, Once a product is announced, the unsold inventory is both depreciating by 2% and is a previous generation product. Wouldn't that mean they're going to be left with pallets of old and unsold inventory? Well, that's where inventory management comes in. In a way, it's very simple. They slash inventory, cut down on warehouse space, and make suppliers compete against one another. Apple also shut down 10 of their own warehouses to prevent overstocking, and they have just one massive central warehouse in California that's synced with over 270 stores. This cut down on their stock on hand, which was usually about a month's worth of sales, to just a couple of days. It's because of this system that Apple can afford to release a new product as often as they like, and they can do so without taking a loss or being left with old unsold inventory. And when they do release their latest iteration of the iPhone or MacBook, their competitors are left scrambling. Their competitors are constantly adjusting to Apple's strategy and are often left flat-footed. Apple's competitors are exposed to huge risk by keeping too much stock of their products. They have to adjust to Apple's product release schedule when a new innovation emerges, and their products suddenly take a hit in terms of value. This can happen especially quickly in the tech sector, and this is why Apple outsources its manufacturing to China. By using Chinese factories, they can manufacture and produce products at a much faster rate. Even if outsourcing is said to create some occasional supply chain problems, you would be hard-pressed to find any deficiencies with Apple's current system. Also, bringing down the number of stock-keeping units, or SKUs, helps to forecast sales levels and demand for future products. Accurately forecasting sales levels and not having excess inventory is especially critical in the consumer technology industry, especially for companies like Apple, whose new products will quickly cannibalize their old ones. This system, a well-oiled machine, shows Apple what products their customers are buying and what products will be in demand in the future. This also gives them important information for analysis to make critical inventory and manufacturing decisions in the future. This leads to having better negotiating positions with suppliers by placing larger orders over a longer period of time, which results in better prices and higher quantities available. Another benefit to Apple's manufacturing scale is that other competitors often have trouble ordering components. As a result, this limits copycats and imitators. Competitors simply can't compete with the popularity, volume, and scale of Apple when it comes to their manufacturing and supply chain, and Apple has done everything to maximize its advantage over its competitors. As good and admired as Apple's supply chain is today, they have their sights on something bigger and more ambitious. Apple has a huge and ambitious goal: a closed-loop supply chain. In 2017, Apple announced that its goal for the future would be creating a closed-loop supply chain. Their vision is that there will come a time when every product under the Apple banner would be made from recyclable or renewable materials, venturing into the eco-friendly direction that most companies are headed. They even have several investments pertaining to clean energy technology, and in fact, they're already carbon neutral in their global operations. By 2030, their supply chain and every product they produce will be as well. This gives consumers the comfort that they're buying products from a company that is making serious efforts to conserve the environment. Considering the level of innovation at the Cupertino company, it will probably not be too long before Apple will lead the way in terms of clean manufacturing and innovation. With this initiative taking place, it seems that Apple's supply chain is sustaining itself as an efficient model that powers the unstoppable machine that is Apple. The company is known for amazing consumer electronics devices, but they are equally amazing behind the scenes, and in ways that few people recognize. We hope you've enjoyed this look at one of Apple's biggest advantages, its supply chain, and have a new appreciation for their amazing logistics expertise. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you get notified when we have a new video ready for you.